Method of argument problems are often about an argument in the literal sense of the word, maybe not so much an argument, but rather a disagreement. A method of argument problem often accompanies a premise that resembles a dialogue, a conversation or discussion between two people, and the question asks you to identify the argumentative technique that one or the other person is using. You can also recognize a method of argument problem if in the question you see context clues like advance, proceed, or the word respond, or its forms, for example, response. Normally, on critical or logical reasoning problems, you identify facts and conclusion in the premise and then you brainstorm assumptions. And that's not what you're doing here. Method of argument problems are similar to boldface problems in that the answer choices are so rhetorical. When you scan the answer choices, you feel as though you're just swimming in this rhetoric soup or word salad of verbiage. So to solve the problem, it's important to remember that there really are only three parts to an argument: facts, conclusion, and assumptions. If you were taught otherwise, that's because the reason that all of these nonsense test prep and tutoring agencies, centers, and programs overcomplicate everything is to convince you that you need to learn more than you really do in order to keep your checks coming. I will never do that to you. I'm all about streamlining. I make everything simple and clear because that's my name. So I've compiled a chart of synonyms for facts and conclusions, and there are not many synonyms for assumptions, from the answer choices to method of argument problems from the GMAT, the GRE, and the LSAT. That chart is available on my website, and I include the link in the description. Solving a method of argument problem is a lot like solving a boldface problem in that you break down the premise sentence by sentence into one of those three categories: facts, conclusions, or assumptions, and then look for synonyms in the answer choices. It's important on method of argument problems, just like on boldface problems, to remember the concession. So if you're not familiar with what a concession is, it's time to review argumentative essay writing, and that link too is included in the description. Basically, a concession is when the author says something polite in the spirit of civility to give a little bit to the other side before disagreeing. It's like if you were having an argument with someone that you love, in order to be polite and to avoid hurting the other person's feelings, you might say things like, well, I understand where you're coming from, or I understand why you feel that way. Those are concessions. In argumentative writing, concessions sound something along the lines of, while that may be true, or though that is understandable. And method of argument problems, like boldface problems, love to test you on the concession. So if you see the concession in the part of the argument on which you are being questioned, then you will need to have the concession in the correct answer. So that's an introduction to method of argument problems. To read more in detail, including an example problem and answer explanations, please visit my website. I include the link in the description. Also, to schedule a private lesson with me, please visit my website. The contact information is also in the description. I've worked online with people from all over the world, and I'd love to work with you. Take care.